Let's turn now to the issue of the victims, because I think that's one of the central pillars, really, of the ICC, and involving victims into the center of the cases. In the Kenyatta case now that's been withdrawn, it seems that the whole issue of victims is now finished. They're worse off, perhaps, than they were before. How do you see that? Do you see that as a dilemma for the ICC?
I think, and I've said it in my statement when I was withdrawing the cases, that it is really a dark day for justice for the victims of these crimes. And I believe that the victims have been denied justice in this situation. And for me, both personally and professionally, is something that I really regret, something that is very profound. The feelings that I have for the victims not to have justice is very profound for me. And it is unfortunate that because of all the attempts that have been made to make this case go away has resulted in the victims not getting justice, at least for now. For us also, I mean, you have to take the totality of the situation. The victims have not been able to get justice because of all the problems that this case and all the challenges that this case has been confronted with. When we look at it, we look at it at a very holistic way. How do you deal? What are the lessons that you have drawn from this case? What are the lessons that you've learned from what has happened? And how can you do it in a different way to avoid what has happened to happen again? So obviously, the victims are the raison d'etre for the existence of the ICC. It's to give them justice which none other is giving them, not at the national level or even at the international level, apart from the ICC. So if we are going into this case, to do it is really to make sure that the victims have justice. And as I said, unfortunately, it hasn't happened now, for now. For now, they are denied justice. But I believe that it is something that can happen in the future. But for other victims, it is also a lesson that we have learned, and to see how we can do things differently in future.
When you look at the victims issue as well, I think in the Kenya cases, a lot of the deaths happened from police killings, according to the information that's publicly available. Yet the first case to crumble was the one that had the head of the police indicted and named there. Why would that case, which seemed could have probably been the most simple of them all, why did it collapse so fast?
Again, the information we needed for that case is with the government. The information that we would have used to bring the case forward is with the police, is with the government. And it is one of the first requests that we had problems in getting. Actually, until now, we were not able to get all the information that we need. There were some claims that they could not release the documents or information to us because of a court order, and various explanations were given. But before you can bring any case forward, that is the bottom line, before you can bring any case forward and sustain the case and make it go to trial, is because you have the evidence. You have the evidence with you, and you are able to test the evidence and make sure that when it goes before the judges, it passes that test. But in the police case, we were not able to get that.
Does this not all mean then that the ICC really falls into the normal tribunals you have seen of perhaps only providing victors justice? So if you're vanquished, whether it's in election or in war, then there is going to be accountability. But if you are in power, then you retain, then there's no accountability for you.
I don't think so, really. I believe across our cases, if you look at, for instance, in the Darfur case, we were able to indict both the power, as you call them, those in power, as well as those who were on the other side, who were supposed to be the rebels. We've indicted them both, and we were able to bring the cases before judges. Even in the case of the rebels, as we call it, we were able to get the charges confirmed. before the judges. Of course, in the case of Bashir, we have not been able to confirm those charges because we still do not have President al-Bashir before the judges. But I do not think that it should be impossible to indict and bring a case forward for a sitting head of state. It will be difficult, certainly, if you do not have the cooperation of judges, but it is not impossible. And even currently, if you look at the ongoing case, it's a leader also of a sitting leader of a country. So I do not think that we should give up, throw our hands in the air and say, okay, if someone is a leader, we should not prosecute the person and because they are a leader. What we have to understand is that, yes, it will be difficult. It will be a big challenge, but we need to look into the ways, we need to learn the lessons and look into the ways where we can do things differently, but ensure that what this court was set up to do, we are doing it.
Do you look back sometimes and think that the indictment of Kenyatta was counterproductive, especially now you're seeing this clamor in Africa for immunity, for not just heads of state, but even leaders? They say those people, who are leaders or others. So they are in fact extending immunity for African leaders.
I don't think so. I mean, we did not bring a case against Mr. Kenyatta just because he's a head of state. We collected evidence. We tested that evidence. That evidence was brought before judges. The judges confirmed that, yes, indeed, the evidence is there for Mr. Kenyatta to stand trial. As I said, the fact that he became a head of state later, after he was already indicted and charges confirmed, changed the game. We have to accept that. It did change the game. It did change the dynamics of retaining our witnesses, of retaining our evidence, of even being able to collect additional evidence. It affected the case in that way. But I do not think that anybody is above the law or below it. I do not think that your status should help you to be indicted, not to be indicted. In fact, international criminal justice and the setting up of this international court, this permanent court, was just for that nobody is above the law. The African leaders coming into making these resolutions for exemption, but under the statute of the ICC, this is not affected. Under the statute, nobody, irrespective of your status, nobody can be immune from prosecution of these very serious crimes, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide.
I want to ask now, essentially the cases, in the Kenya cases, was supposed to be striking a blow against impunity. But it seems to be the reverse is happening, and that more and more there's a sense now that impunity will increase. Immunity is being sought more and more.
Well, immunity is being sought more and more, unfortunately as a reaction, I believe, to the Kenya case, and maybe as a form of protection for those leaders. But again, I come to the same response. Before the ICC, under the statute, under the Rome Statute, as long as we have jurisdiction, and I'm underlying that, as long as we have jurisdiction to investigate into situations, nobody in that situation, whether you are a president, whether you are a leader, whether you are a military leader, whether you are a militia leader, nobody is going to be above the law. Nobody.
Do you think the Kenya cases have helped move the war for accountability or not?
At least what it has shown, what the Kenya cases has demonstrated, is that the ICC is able to indict and bring cases against leaders of a country. It has demonstrated that, and it is still demonstrating that. Of course, for now, we have had the setback of not being able to proceed with the case because of the attempts that have been made to destroy the case. But we live and we learn. We live and we learn, and this should not mean that no other leader or no other sitting head of state, if you commit these crimes, you will not be investigated or be prosecuted. If you commit these crimes, you will be held responsible and you will be made accountable for these cases. It should not be seen that because the cases have been attacked, or the case has been attacked to give this outcome, therefore, all other cases that come before the ICC, this is what is going to happen. I don't think so. And certainly, it is not going to deter the office, it's not going to deter ICC from investigating and prosecuting any other leader who commits these crimes.